Sorry for the delay. Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today we are going to get into this Future Friday as we take a look at Beneath Twisted Earth, a tabletop role-playing game about playing giant mecha pilots in a post-apocalyptic Earth, and pretty interesting setting and mechanism. So let's get into it. And of course, spoiler alert, created by someone that we have a tangential relationship from way back in the day, probably 10 years or more ago, back in the old tabletop Facebook group known as the RPG Brigade. And there's some notables in the tabletop community that came from that group, and they're going on to become bigger and better. So guys, sit back, grab your snacks, let's get into it. Hello again, everyone. Thank you very much for bearing with me with these delays and whatnot. I really appreciate it. No, he hasn't gotten back to me yet. No, no, he hasn't. I'm sure he's busy. We are para friends, so yeah, he hasn't got back to me. But it would be pretty interesting to have more of a to have him on live, do a little interview, and figure out what's going on. I can almost tell you what the heck happened. Yeah. Spook says, I've been shopping for Gunpla and got excited when I saw the thumbnail. Okay. Well, let's get into this game. Now, this individual didn't give me anything, but I do have a relationship with this person simply because we were part of a very large creative community known as the RPG Brigade. That brigade has broken up, but I did want to show off some of, if not all of it, show off a bits and pieces of this game. Now, there is a free version. So in the link, you're going to see there's an artless free version. This is the one that I have up now, the PDF. And then there's also a premium PDF as well with the art and the color and that sort of thing. And then in addition to that, let's see if we can get the cover of the premium. Here is the cover of the premium version. Color twisted, kind of has like that pixelated artwork. Sorry, pixelated art on the front cover and such. Kind of cool. It kind of brings back a 80s, early 90s pixelated gaming thing, although that clearly the setting isn't about video games, but it's kind of cool. Dystopian mecha role playing. And then here's the character sheet, and we'll get it a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on here. BTE for short, Beneath Twisted Earth. And of course we've got here's the character sheet. We've got the concepts and all that kind of stuff at the very top. As we go down, we have ourselves our health points and piloting skills and statistics of just body, mind, and spirit. Health points, of course, you have total HP and current HP. This is a percentile system. It is 2d10 using the tens and ones, and the position of the tens and ones are important. We have will points with will spent and penalty, current penalty. Credits, of course you have to have credits, right? It's the cash, personal gear, and experience. And then there's a second page to this as well. For the character sheet, your mecha designation, of course you have your name of your mecha. To the right, we have your utility systems. The primary parts are your, as you'll see, to the left, there's frame, boosters, CPU, and radiator. And then across from that with our frame, we find out how much armor we have. With the boosters, it's our movement rate. With the CPU, we have the utilities, how many utilities we can gain in our mecha, and then with the radiator is I forgot what the HR stands for. Human resource. No, that's not what it stands for. Heat rating. That's it. Woof. Heat rating. Uh, some disposable equipment, and then total armor points and current armor points. Can't remember what SP stands for right off the top of my head. Weapon systems. You customize your own weapon systems and give them a really cool name. It's basically a point buy system, very low pointage. So you customize your weapons, and then that is it. Well, there's more to it too. There's more to it. There are other things here like notes, lock-on trackers. Lock-on trackers is basically like your initiative. Get to decide how far away some of your targets are, and then you very easy to decipher like range patterns and difficulties. And there's six of them: melee or melee, close, medium, far, sniping, and then artillery ranges. And there's no specific distances for those kind of things. And then at the last part, conspiracy clues and mecha part storage. And the conspiracy clues section in the game is it's the fluffy part, right? It's all the background story. It does use clocks for it does use a clock mechanism for the enemies and adversaries and things like that. Why not use something that works really well? And so here we are with Beneath Twisted Earth. Some comments here. Cool. Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I mean it's actually a big thing. Name of Spook says, all right, for our tank healer DPS, just need HR for when someone falls off their mech and we're good to go. Yeah, exactly. But I twisted my ankle. Eye roll. I want the corner office. Dude. So anyway, so here we have a Beneath Twisted. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go to. Come on, there we go. Let's go to the website for just a moment. And here we are. Here's the itch.io page for Beneath Twisted Earth. There's a downloadable premium one for $15, and there's a print version, but there is a free 113-page free version as well at the bottom of the itch.io Beneath Twisted Earth website. But anyway, it says here, deep beneath the surface of a permanently polluted Earth, a race of augmented post-humans called remnants engage in endless wars for corporate domination. You play the remnants of humanity. While private security forces carry out the wills of their corpo masters, the heroes on the front lines are dragoons, mercenary mech pilots with machines as customized as their backgrounds are varied. Their missions will take them up against megacorp experiments on the rampage, ancient enemies from subterranean oceans, and mutated monstrosities from the twisted earth above. And so the base concept of this game is that, of course, you play a mecha pilot and you represent what's known as an arc. Is this based off any specific culture? Gundam style games usually have Asia and anime inspired undertones. I think I'm going to say that it clearly has undertones of old gaming mecha, which always came from anime, but it is not. Let me get my thoughts together here. I'm going to say, let's get some specificity here. I'm going to say that it comes across like Pacific Rim. And Pacific Rim, the movie or movies, definitely have all their undertones from anime and Gundam style um, features. So does the game kind of emulate that? Yeah, I'll say that. I'll say that. I would agree with that. So let's go back into the game. Let's replace this with the premium PD or the regular PDF. Here we go. So let's get our size nice and big here so you guys can kind of see it. So beneath Twisted Earth, humanity basically polluted the entire world. And here's the game design, writing and layout from Daniel Dennehy. You definitely created by a small number of individuals. So you're going to see that from this. You may go, I don't think it's the highest quality, but when it comes to money and time and things like that, we have to realize that some of these premium products out there are done by are the more rare version of things. Here we have of course, our index and things like that. It's definitely hyperlinked. This game runs by the Vibe system. It's a percentile system, and your tens column is important. So core rule, basically, it's percentile. You want to roll equal to or less than. And the a roll of 1 is considered critical success, while a roll of 100 is epic failure. Double zeros if you're rolling 2d10 is a failure. So percentile systems, you want to meet or go below your statistic. So if you have, for example, 60%, you want to roll 60 or lower on 2d10. There are target number adjustments, and it basically says like plus or minus 5 to the target score is considered standard. Plus or minus 10 is a greater difficulty, and basically saying for game masters, unless the action being performed is extremely difficult, it is not recommended to apply adjustments of plus or minus 15 or higher. So basically, stay within your tens. Hey, I've got the high ground. All right, you get a 10% increase, but it's foggy or something, or there's I don't know, particulates in the air affecting your scanners or whatever. Okay, minus 10%. We'll just go that way. There are stat and skill bonuses, and the reason why I mentioned that the tens column of your percentage is important is because if you have a skill of, say, 40%, or actually in this example, 30, then you get a +3 bonus. So, for example, it says Anna in combat has rolled successfully against her weapon skill score of 30, which would be 30%, to hit her target. To calculate her damage, she then rolls a d6 and gets a 4 and applies her weapon skill bonus of 3. And that 3 comes from that +3 bonus to damage comes from the weapon skill of 30. So it is important. So if you have a 20, 30, 40% skill rating, you get a bonus for that. And it applies to the character sheet. And then we get into character concept. Of course, you want to have your character concept, like what kind of pilot are you, your personality, where are you from. But we get into body, mind, and spirit. And those are your basically 3 stats: body, mind, spirit. Body representing all your physical prowess, of course, your mind or mental faculties and perception, and spirit representing all risks related to emotional, social, or spiritual strength. You're like charisma, force of personality for spirit. Of course, you have health. Got to have those health points. Your will. In this game, the meta currency is called will, and it's you expend will, but there is a unique feature to this. It's not giving me okay. For every point of will used, a character will suffer a cumulative -2 to all rolls until the character's will is restored. So It is it is benefit now, cost, penalty later kind of thing. So you can expend will. Kitties. So you can expend will to receive some kind of like benefits and things like that. Gaining a clue, like here it says, uh, in function, it allows a player to gain an advantage during the course of play in exchange for accepting penalties, which is the -2. This advantage could be changing a failed result into a success, gaining a clue to a mystery from the game master, or increasing the strength of an attack. All advantages are at the complete discretion of the game master, including the potential cost to the character of forcing the advantage. But the penalty is set. Once used, will points are replenishable with rest and or a boosted morale. And so they do have morale systems in here as well. And then we have skills and advancement, things like that. Like I said, right now we are this here. Right now we're looking at the free version, and then I'll show you what the premium version looks like in just a moment. We have our advancement track here, skills, mecha advancement, and this is basically the overview. Once your stats and skills get to a certain level, it's more difficult to surpass a particular level. So, for example, if your skills get to 50% or higher, it's difficult to raise them above that level. You can, but it slows down. And then, of course, you have to design your mech. So they're like standard systems. Like over here on the left, you've got like life support, visual sensors, a pilot seat, generators, lift cable, floodlights, like all that's pretty standard. That's where it reminds me of Pacific Rim. And then you have to the right, you have your primary mecha parts, like your frame, booster, CPU, and radiator. And later in the game, you get to choose those points. You basically point build your mech. Now, is there a way to do this, like to have things pre-written or pre-formed? Of course you can, but essentially you make your own. Got weapon kits. You make up your own weapon kit, and each weapon kit has a feature that you put points into to basically what kind of weapon do you want? Do you want like an energy sword, or shoulder-mounted machine guns, or missiles, or something like that? And you create that. So there's the home. I was about to say human resources score. No. It's a heat reservoir essentially. There's a heat score, damage, rate of fire, and ammo for the weapon. So, for example, like a flamethrower might have a different ammo than a sword or something like that. And you make those up on your own. You pick your range. Mind you, this is theater of the mind range. So like when it's like melee, close, near, far, like those ranges there's no mechanical measurement for it. It's basically range bands. So when you get into sniper and artillery ranges, it how far away is that? I don't know. Probably many kilometers. For like sniper range, artillery ranges are probably in the dozens to hundreds of kilometers away. But measure that. It's like what? There's combat and initiative. Wow, kitties, you guys are loud. All right. There's using your skills, your like weapon skills. Initiative is pretty easy. Before combat, all participants roll a d10 and add their movement rate to determine their initiative order, and then initiative will just proceed in order from the largest to the smallest. And there's actions, standard stuff in most role-playing games. Actions and what happens with those actions, make an attack. And then there's things like body checking, grappling, using your skills, overwatch positions, parrying, reactions as well, like dodge, block, and parry. our reactions. And then there's conditions like sensory overload, system shock, stunned, prone, incapacitated. And then how do you do death? And then mech destruction. Yeah, when your armor points, AP's armor points go down to 0, your mech is considered rendered incapacitated. On the pilot's next turn, they may use an action to eject or punch out to seek safety. And if a mech that has already been incapacitated takes damage, the player must roll the table on the below chart to determine the effect. And then there's different effects on that. It's like whether you're injured or you're forced to punch out. And then talks about damage scale, human versus the massive mechas. And then designing your pilot. All right. Allow me to show you. Gotta add the covering. There we go. This is the premium version of the same thing. Reminds me of the old Macintosh for some reason. Is it hyperlinked? That's the hyperlink. And there you go. You can see some of the table of contents, warnings. Kind of funny. I'll get to your comments in just a minute. Here's a quick story about the world that you live in. So as a player character, you are representative of a place known as an ark. It's where humanity ran underground to find safety from the ecological and political and social wars that were happening on the surface of the earth when it got ruined. And so you represent like an agent or protector of these places known as arks that are underground. Now, a lot of these arks were funded by corporations. So you live in an ark, but there are corporations that kind of run these places because they had the money, they had the know-how. They were the I'll say the rich entrepreneurs that we think of today as creating these arks. There's a bit of artwork here. Visit Ark 13, where the air is clean. Very much, you could, I suppose you could think of it like, what's the video game? When the nukes went off, 1950s. Man, my brain just doesn't work. Now it disappeared on me. What is going on? Seriously? All right. Okay. Go here. And then go back. All right, I gotta turn it off and then get you back on. Fallout. Yes, I do mean Fallout. Damn it. Hey. Yeah, Fallout. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. So some things, yeah, you do this live. Gamma World. There's a little bit of Gamma World in there. In this game, there's a bit of Gamma World. So there are 3 major factions. No, not even factions. Bigger than that. 3 major points of conflict in this game. So as a representative of these communities, you're down there and you're protecting them. And of course, you must go out and gather great resources to keep your community alive. And so the main factions, I'll use the word factions, that you'll come into conflict with are corporations. You will come in conflict with the overgrown, mutated horrors that are now devastating the surface world of the earth when you're trying to go after resources or save humanity or forge a new path or find resources, things like that. That's on the surface world. You have the corporations that have control of these different arcs, basically like fallout shelters. And when I say shelters, there's probably from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands or more people living in these various arcs. And of course, there's different social dynamics with these separated arcs that are around the world, dug underground. So, is there a little bit of inbred, incestuous kind of like zealot fanaticism in some of these places? Yes. As well as being manipulated by corporations that want complete loyalty. And then lastly, to add a little bit more gonzo spin to it, beneath the earth, there are high-tech, intelligent dinosaur reptilian people? Question mark? That are in the deep underground as well. Giant insects, giant monsters, fungi, things like that. Because of course, if you're piloting a giant, mecha, well, who do you go up against? So yeah, those corpos will say anything to recruit you and own you. Remember that. Heed the call. So yeah, you kind of need to run your mecha, which is funded by corporations, but you're also against them as well. And so there is a little bit of like fist in the air, middle fingers up, thumbing the nose at the corporations, but also trying to balance your need for them because they have the factories, they've got the technology, they've got the way to repair your mechs. And so you may have to go on missions to help the corporations, knowing that in the background you and your friends are like, we're going to work against them. So here this again talks about the creating your mecha, how to create them, all the weapon mods, and this is an overview, and then we get into a lot more detail, specificity, different actions you can take. Will you have a part in victory? Better hope so. Damage scale, human versus massive scales. And we get into a pilot creation. And again, we have our main three stats: mind, body, and spirit. And what they mean, like, mind, reasoning, perception, intelligence. Body, of course, is physical fitness, endurance, stamina. And then spirit with charisma, intimidation, and determination. And yes, there are adventures you'll be taking or can take outside of your mech and then have to, haul ass back into your mech. And then you have pilot skills, and you can actually they actually suggest that you can make up other skills, but essentially you have mecha piloting as one of your skills and then two other skills. And it's very easy to designate your numbers because, let's see if I can highlight this right here. For your body, mind, and spirit, you're going to put the numbers 30, 25, and 20 into those categories. The same thing for your skills. You're going to pick 3 skills and apply a 30, a 25, and a 20 to it, and then that will be your skill. And then to make sure every character is different, you're going to add 1d10 to that, and that becomes your beginning character's statistic. So I can go back up here to your base stats. You've got body, mind, and spirit. And once you figure out which one you want your primary one, one's going to be, 35? Your strong stat's going to be 35. Your average is going to be 30. And then your below average is going to be a 25. And then you add those together, start rolling some dice and see if you succeed or fail. So, mecha construction, danger, noxomorphs in area. Basically running around on the surface world. Random tables. There's a bunch of random tables. Actually really good for creating the world, especially if you're not familiar or you're new to like giant robot adventuring and whatnot. Everything from creating names, factions, to landscapes and things like that, it's in here. For your mecha construction, you basically get to pick like your frame, your boosters, your CPU, and you pick 2 parts from Blitz Technologies and 2 parts from Caballero Corporation. And already we're getting into proper names, and maybe you have to break into one of those corporations or align yourself with one of those corporations because they help build your mech. And so here we have like your frame. You can pick up like a heavy frame from Blitz Technologies or a lighter frame from it could be pronounced Caballero, but it's probably Caballero. And then your boosters, which is like your movement rate. Your CPU determines like your utilities, and then your radiator, which determines your heat rating. And you get to mix and match those. So no, you can't pick everything from the left side. You got to go like, okay, I'll pick 2 of these for my best part, and 2 others for my less optimized. And then there's weapon kits. Will you have part in a victory? I don't know. Weapon construction, and here we go into weapon kits. Essentially, there are points that you put into those kits, and then again, as a beginning player character, there's a Blitz HR heat rating and Caballero heat ratings, which are 10 points or 8 points, and you use those points to make your weapon systems. There are other corporations like Sakura and Anodyne, but you don't have access to those in the beginning, but you do have those through adventure and experience points. And then here we have the weapon construction. Each level you go up from the lowest to the highest, costs a point. So we start out with a D4 damage all the way up to D20. Rate of fire is basically how many times it's how many actions you can take with that weapon. 1, 2, or 3 actions. The amount of ammo from 4 to 20, and then what kind of range your weapon has, from melee, close, medium, far, sniping, and artillery ranges. And then we have an example character sheet, and I'll get into your comments in just a minute. Oops, maybe a little bigger. There we go. Is it still? Yeah, it's still showing. Okay. All right. Right here is how to calculate your primary weapon ability and weapon system. So your primary weapon will begin with a skill score of 30 plus 1d10, and then every weapons kit after that is 25 plus 1d10 as a beginning score. And then here we have an example character sheet. Julius Montana, call sign Fixer. Character concept: a syndicate hitman striking it out on his own. And your character concept is not limited by any particular thing. And then we have our statistics. And as you can see, like with a body of 37, this character probably put 30 in body and then rolled a d10 and got a 7. Skills. Current HP 14. 0.6 in experience. And I think there's another character. Here we go. Here's the same characters in their mech. Mecha designator Ursa Major, definitely a bear. They got a Blitz Tech frame with 24 armor points. Their boosters are a Caballero Corporation with a movement rate of 1 with 3 in the parentheses. And other things on there. Pretty simple, actually, to be honest with you. Turtle. Sheesh. Total armor points are 24, and here's the current. You start getting hit by lasers and missiles and things like that. Start to deplete. Weapon systems, power claws, and a slag shotgun. And again, you can name these whatever you want. It looks a little bit busy, but again, these are like point buys. So you're like, okay, well, how much damage do I want? Well, I want my power claws to do D6. So, okay, D4 is 1 point, D6 is 2 points. I spent 2 on that. Spend another 2 points on rate of fire because 1 point to shoot it once. If I want to increase the rate of fire of 2, that costs another point. Then you spend money on ammo, and the range is just melee range, close range. And then the slag shotgun is at medium range. And then here's a here's the last part of the taking notes for this character. Little story elements like an old syndicate, the Black Coin, Edmund Red looking for me, and then the Aura Club, Jinx, the bartender. Little detail there, and I think there's a little bit one more detail. There we go. Caballero's secret experiment pretending to be Blitz Tech. Little conspiracy note. One corporation secret experiment pretending to be another corporation's experiment. And Anodyne, Dr. Ogvald Reichland, renovating the twisted earth. Revive the fallen. Why you should report the Joneses. Report on your neighbors, please. We'll get to your comments here, and then we'll get it. I'll let you guys know. Off the bat, yeah, lizard people. He was like, yeah, underground cities remind me of NGE. I'm not sure about that. What that stands for. Please explain. Is that like a place in Europe? The sheets are easy to read and straightforward. I like how customizable it is. It is very customizable. It's more, I think the design behind the game, in my opinion, is to make a high-tech mecha game, but to give it enough story elements that you can fill in the gaps all you want, right? It's basically like, hey, listen, let's have let's not make everything so concrete. And then according with not making it concrete is that you get to customize the kind of stories you want to tell. So let's get into a little bit of the histories and factions. So here we have on the right side, we have a history, the fall of humanity. The year, and mind you, the year is very flux, right? Because it says the year is 777 AE, or Ark Era, and humanity is no more. After polluting Earth to the point of no return, mankind fled beneath the surface into a network of arcs where they became the remnants. Now, remnants is a very generalized name for post-humans. And so the main resource players are trying to go after is coolant. So coolant in this world is the resource, the primary resource. And coolant keeps cool the vast data networks, the power plants, the nuclear places, the electricity, the computer systems. So you need coolant. Now, of course, people of course need food and shelter and medicine and things like that. But to give it a to give a meta to what's necessary that when the players need to go out adventuring and they're like, what are you going after? What's the default? You're going after coolant. Now, coolant can be acquired from fungus on the surface of the earth, and it can be harnessed in the coolant or aquifers in the underworld. So you leave your arc to go find water sources to bring back. And so I was like, I think that's kind of a cool thing to go after, like coolant. Kind of cool. So the fall of humanity, of course, we go underground. We have the twisted earth, which is the surface world. And then we have ourselves the coolant wars. So in a bit of the history, basically, you go above ground and you might be fighting for or discovering new locations to get this great fungus, going through like toxic jungles. And they actually call this stuff ambrosia, the sweet nectar of life. or down below it's water. And then there's different factions, and the factions, of course, correspond to corporations like Sakura Industries. I want to page this real quick. We have ooh, ooh, ooh. We have Anodyne Libraries, Blitz Technologies, and of course, each of these corporations are like, we can give you something if you are um, devoted to us. And of course, though each other person that's part of that faction is looking at you like, I don't think you're loyal. Why did you go into the underworld down in that dark alley to talk to those other people? What were you doing there? So, Dragon's Roost, dragons never die. Department of Disorder, Olympus must fall. Those are the ones who want to take everybody down. The SCH effect. Yeah, humanity fell, no one noticed. Oh, thank you, Kitty. You want to get on camera? Hey, girly girl, let me put you on camera. All right, let's see. Here we have Scarlet. She's a kitty, 2 months old, just been weaned, got her shots and everything like that. And her brother's coming too. Come on, Brutus, come on. I'm going to. There we go. Here they are. Ooh. Yeah, you got that new smell. Yeah, you do. So these are the two. So if you hear them running around in the background, that's them. Yes, they're cool. All right, I'm gonna put you guys down slightly here, right there. Yeah, here. This is Brutus, the boy. Yeah, pretty kitty. Yeah, kitty. Kitty tax paid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and off to I'm pointing off to my side. There's a giant cat condo. So yeah, like I said, if I had a kitty camera, I could just point it at them if they would stay still long enough. But see, they're cute. Look how like they just fall limp in the hands. I love you guys. All right, sit on the lap. There you go. Anyway, they're hilarious. Sorry about that. Cats seems to be a primary familiar for us us in the gaming community. So yeah. Oh man. All right. Back in line. Here we go. Yeah, we've got different factions. We've got contracts. Oh, the Ordo Praedanum. Ah, okay. Anyway, they are known as the Mesozoans, which are the dinosaur lizard people living under the earth and whatnot. So, yeah, was there a plot by the lizard people to make the fall of the earth happen? That's up to you. but yeah, giant lizard folk fighting them in giant robots, of course. Sakura Industries, and these are different missions you can go on. So there's tables for each one of these guys. So Sakura Industries has its own. Anodyne, Blitz Technologies. Like if we take a look at to the very left, Anodyne Laboratories. Excuse me, because I'm looking at a kitty right now. There's an objective, and enemy forces, and location where something might happen. So if we go across with number 5, investigate why a base lost contact. Then there's Anodyne personnel imposters. Oh, there are spies or something, and an Antarctic base, right? Because remember, you are under the earth, and to that effect, that when you're under the earth, maybe there are like lava tubes and tunnels and things like that are everywhere where you can come up to the surface world, or maybe trek across the blasted landscape that doesn't look like anything we have today and go on a mission. So yeah, evacuated cities, carnivorous reefs, hidden ocean pumping stations, submarines, city streets, old world swamp preserves, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it, natural habitat, other parts mutated. Caballero Corporation, Department of Disorder, missions, popular contracts, other employer contracts, contract complications, whether you've been set up. There's Dragoon opposition, unexpected forces, system jamming, things like that. And then I want to get to Game Master's tools, storage versus hangar. Basically, like, you have a place to store your stuff where you can you're going to have a relationship to have your stuff repaired. And then there's credit, how much credit it costs to have things built so you can have a hangar with special things in it. And that having a hangar is like having a starship or a sailing ship in tabletop role-playing games, right? Like, as a group, you can start going on missions and all of you combining your money together to add features to your hangar. Even operator generators for your hangar. Their name is Sebastian. They're overly polite. They like to meet in person instead of over holographic imaging, and they are well connected, right? And then you can mix and match these roll multiple times. A name like Sebastian, Hayes, Thoth, Q, Darius, etc. I love roll tables. Roll tables are like bounded lore drops, right? Because there's nothing on the table that wasn't included on it, and you can't roll anything that's not on the table. So therefore, the table gives you the bounded information that relates to that thing. So basically, roll tables are world building tools, or you can easily make a roll table a world building tool. And I love compound tables. So for example, Chief Gearhead Generator here, you can roll multiple times on these tables to get, and I can't do the math in my head. I'm not very good at mathing. But if you roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times with a D8, you know how many different combinations can you make with 8 variations over 6 different categories? I don't know. I can't do that. I know it's not 8 times 6. It's or maybe it is. No, it's got to be more than that. Anyway, there's scenario tables. If you're stuck, Game Master's Toolkit for rival pilots, living worlds. Of course, you want to make your worlds as detailed and then basically memorable, interesting as possible. Land and living world scenes, of course, conspiracies. Here we go, and I'll end right here. Clocks. Gotta have yourself some clocks. Matter of fact, let me make this a single pager, and then we'll break into the clock, and then I'll let you go. So, and there are tools here to allow you to make your own clocks with your own paradigm shifts. So, right here, an additional aspect of Beneath Twisted Earth that will aid GMs in portraying a living world, as well as provide added consequence to the player's choices, is the inclusion of paradigm shift clocks. These clocks serve as a form of timer for changes in the settings status quo. To use the shift clocks, GMs will keep track of 3 clocks with 3 faces, one for each of the forces at play in the setting. Refer to the table below for an example of how these clocks should be laid out. And so the arc powers are basically the factions, the corporations, who controls which arc, and it's the interior politics, and of course the interior politics and the enemies thereof, or your arc community against other arc communities for the same resources. Then this middle clock is Twisted Earth, and that's the mutated fungal nanotech things that went wild on the surface of the Earth. Maybe some of that stuff leaking down or dribbling down or crawling down into the lower world of giant insects and flying beasts and fungus and all that kind of stuff, and acid rain and blah blah blah. And then there's the Mesozoans. The Mesozoans are the lizard people, And so every time the squadron undertakes a contract that combats the forces of one of the three groups, the GM will choose one of the remaining two clocks, then fill in one of that clock's faces. Once every face on the clock has been filled in, a paradigm shift event occurs relating to the force on that clock. These events can range from one faction gaining advantage over the others to natural disasters that change the landscape of setting. Regardless of which clock fills first, once a paradigm shift is triggered, all clocks reset. And so this is basically a way of going like, hey, let's do a Game of Arc powers to the left. Let's do a Game of Thrones type of thing where we're vying for power and who's got influence over who. But while you're doing that, you're ignoring the other dangers, and the other dangers start to build. Then all of a sudden it's we got to go after the Mesozoics because they're down here under the earth, and we're fighting giant intelligent dinosaurs or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden the Twisted Earth starts to take place. But we're not done, because that's not the only thing you can do in this game. You can do random shifts and random little details, like just to throw a monkey wrench into the mix. Arc power, Twisted Earth events, Mesozoics shift, and then missions, unarmed combat, pilot weapons. What happens when you have, you need to, how do you tell a story in giant mechs when they have to get out the mech to do a thing? Battlefield healing and realistic healing, and healing between missions, and taking the time to do that, lasting injuries, and see if it, tweaking contracts, best practices, essentially. So it's not the same, hey, let's go on another mission. Because some people, while that's easy to do, there are some players, kind of like myself, that are like, do we really want to do Monster of the Week style gameplay? Or do we want to do a little bit more tied together, intricate campaign type of thing? Here we get into practices for our death versus mecha loss, and how to, purchases, backups, hijacking other people's mechs, things like that. Loans, temporary leave, and using that to keep the story going. Like what happens when 2 out of 3 players' mechs are destroyed? Then, how do you go forward with that? Battlefield phases, and helping the GM run those. Grid combat recommendations, because the game doesn't assume a grid because of such long ranges. But here, if you want to use a grid in a map, hex grid or something like that, square grid, hex gridding, it translates the hexes into like melee, close, medium, far sniping artillery ranges into numerical ranges. And then grid facing, flying and swimming, and alternate ammo management instead of counting ammo, using a resource die. We've seen resource dice before. You roll a die, and with this method, when a player rolls for an attack, regardless whether they hit or not, they will roll their ammunition die. If that die lands on a 1, the current ammo die will drop 1 level. So if you have a D8 for your ammo, and if you roll a 1, it goes down to D6. If you roll a 1, it goes to D4, and if you roll a 1, you're out. And then there's other settings. And so an example, like, let's say you don't really like this setting, or you want to modify it heavily. So discuss this desired setting, decide on lore, reskin primary parts, create mission tables for the faction, decide on setting factions, reskin equipment, decide on other elements. Like maybe you don't have mecha, maybe you are, I don't know, your mind operates biological giant monsters or something like Godzilla or whatever. And then there's adversaries, and there's a long list of adversaries, which is actually kind of cool. And then I'll let you go. Let me see let me go to here. Adversaries. Here we go. We're on page 110, and the book ends at 173. So there are lots of adversaries. I wish there was more art, but art is expensive. Noxomorphs, behemoths, shell crackers. Some of these are biological, and then there's of course the mechas that you go against. Spore hunter, wave master. It tells you what they are, right? The spore hunter. These noxomorph predators prowl the various twisted biomes using stealth and ambush tactics to hunt their prey. And I suppose without the art, you can describe them any way you want, and maybe even describe them like, oh, the jungles of the Saharan Africa are different than the deserts of the once United States, I don't know, Colorado mountain ranges or something like that, right? Which I said that on purpose. Winged terror, of course, arc threats like the aerial mech and other adversaries, aquatic, anti-armor trooper, aquatic mech here, assault mech, combat vehicle. I suppose you could go to like ArtStation. Go to ArtStation. I mean, for your own home game. I don't mean producing something. Go to various places and get some artwork done, and or use art from your or concept art from your favorite anime or Gunpla setting or system or whatever. Or like, I want mine to look like Neon Genesis Evangelion or something, and you're like, okay, I guess I don't care. And then that's what your mech looks like. But mine is going to be purple instead of green. You know, different mechs here. Sorry, let me stop here with the heavy AUG trooper. So of course they do have body, mind, and spirit and a percentile system. They have shield points and hit points, movement rate, reactions, mecha piloting, and this is pretty much all you really need. There are weapon systems and that usually have a die attached to it. D6, D10, D12 damage or whatever, but that's basically it. Not a lot of detail. Most of it is like, oh, well, what is it? How does it work? And I don't know. I like a simple system. Plasma cannon. 1d12 plus 5 damage, rate of fire 2, ammo 8, close through far range. I don't know. To me, that's dirt simple. So anyway, and then let me get to the very end of the book. Starter missions starts at 138, and then these are basically, you know, starter missions, creating what you want. Here's what am I? The Ice Valley, Forces Unknown. It looks like the Ice Valley one, Sentry Communication Crash Site, Blizzard Climb. Once the cargo has been recovered, the squadron must make their way to the extraction point further into the preserve. In order to do so, they will need to pass another sweeper team, drones, extraction. So, I mean, giant mecha stories, basically, you could follow basically any kind of procedural movie and or television show. Military, police, fire rescue, what are some other ones? Crime investigations, gang war, alien contact, any kind of resource extraction, from like finding drugs that are needed to food to rescue missions and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. We're into the end of our overview page through and our glossary of all the things you may need. Of course, with any kind of a high-tech tabletop role-playing game, you're going to have special names for all the equipment and technology and things like that. So yeah, EMP devices, things like that. Post-human, what does that even mean? And then concepts, logo prototypes, and all the handwritten work, hand-drawn stuff, computer animated, designed imagery. And then we get our character sheets. Dystopian mecha roleplay. Back of the book. So that is an introduction to this game. Again, I was going through the premium PDF, but we have here, this is the no art, simple layout, free version of this very game that we went through. So if it's something that you want to take a look at or try, or maybe even leave a couple of bucks, if pay what you want kind of thing, and leave a couple of bucks later, sure, you can do that. There's 113 pages. Of course, once you get rid of the art and the significant modifiers to the layout, of course the page count will drop. As you can see here, like all the tables are written without any context to them, so packed together, but it still has all of the knowledge, including these table contents doesn't do that for me. Because it's the basic free version. But again, here we have our 3 shift settings, shift clocks going on, and you can design your own. You could make up. This is pulling this out of my ass. Like maybe there is there's a clock for like an AI, a mechanized AI takeover or something like that, like a Cyberdyne Systems, and that could be something that you want to include. Like maybe one of the arcs, all the humans are gone, and the humans have been eliminated or turned into batteries, plugged into stasis chambers and used as batteries, and the AI systems want to take over everything, and it's like, we have too many enemies as it is, stupid dummies. Here we go with our adversaries again. Very simple blocks of text. This is a Deus Mech and the Dreadnought stat blocks. I'm going to go back to the front cover and then let you guys go. And also, one last thing. I did notice that as a feature, and I really appreciate this, that you can engage in non-combat in combat, like using your intimidation, your social skill, your spirit while you're in combat. Like you can rouse your troops and encourage them, inspire your allies, basically like an emotional help action. You can also use like intimidation tactics, maybe from your legendary exploits or the kind of mech that you pilot from the Ark realm that you live in. You can do that kind of thing. So here we go. Let's go back to you guys. They are adorbs. Thank you. Everybody kitties. Like that. So funny. Yeah, regardless of how it looks, there will always be one player who's painted theirs darker than the deepest abyss. Yeah, I am emo goth darkness. It's a nice game overall. Might have to pick it up. Yeah, check it out. I like the artless version. I've been debating on doing the same for one I've been picking at. Yep. There's an artless version, and there's a free character sheet as well. And you can find all of this over. Actually, let's see. Come on, I am a complete Luddite. You can find all of this over at the Cloud Shore website over on itch.io. And here was the primary one. Buy the PDF, $15. But if you page down, you read a bit of the background, the elevator pitch, there is music related to this. So for GMs who like to set their games to music, DJ Jason Sky has created a playlist perfect for use during sessions of Beneath Twisted Earth. Please check it out on YouTube here, so you can click that for some music in the background. And if you like the music, be sure to support the artists. So definitely do that. If you want to meet other players, discuss your games or rules, or deploy your squadron, there's a community launch sortie external website. And then a pixelated art, who's that created by? Cecilia Souza. And if we go down here to the demo version, download demo, there is a free version, character sheet, pre-gen pack, and a crossover pre-gen pack as well. And a development blog if you want to like, wait a minute, where did this come from? So, Beneath Twisted Earth, kind of cool. Oops. There we go. And back up here. So guys, thank you very much for participating in this here Future Friday, and we're going to do other Future Fridays as well. We've got to talk about some modern things, like for example, Kelsey Dion. Let me see. Did she do it on Kickstarter or Backer Kit? I can't. Okay, let's get rid of this. Let's actually let me see. New. Let's see if we can find how much money. Yeah, it is on Kickstarter. I was like, was it Kickstarter or Backer Kit? Let's share this out. Let's see how much money. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Heathen. Let's see. Sorry, just want to point this out because there are plenty of videos talking about is this the death of D&D? And has Shadow Dark become the new Dungeons and Dragons? And right now, as we speak at 7:24 a.m. on this 14th of March, the goal was $10,000. And it is at $1.373 million with over 7,000 backers, and it still has 26 days to go. For those who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, this is the Western Reaches, and the Western Reaches is a compilation of these small world-building sections of her meta world, and they come from So these were small booklets called Cursed Scrolls, Cursed, because that's how you pronounce this word. Cursed Forests, Haunted Deserts, Brooding Jungles, Your Legend Awaits. And essentially they're being compiled together with other settings and more materials to make a setting book for Shadow Dark. And of course you can buy the Shadow Dark books and have them included, but this is a Kickstarter for it. And it's it's almost $1.4 million. Western Reaches are an unexplored land of fragile civilizations, majestic landscapes, and forgotten horrors that lurk in the dark. And also, it's to tell people that Shadow Dark isn't necessarily exactly a dungeon crawling game. It's basically 5th edition hacked away to its most minimal, and it's OSR. It's or I guess maybe it's the new Pathfinder. I don't know. But seafaring, what can you do in the Western Reaches? And it goes into all kinds of things: swamps, jungle, forests, depths, cities. What's in the books? So if you're someone who is a fan of Shadow Dark or wanted to check out the zines, the little micro settings for Shadow Dark, but you're like, I don't have the money for that, or didn't have the money for it then, the Cursed Scroll zines are being put together. This Kickstarter has 3 new issues: Cursed Scroll zines 4, 5, and 6. And it's like a mini setting. So anyway, thank you very much for letting me show off different things, and we'll talk about some other things like that as well on the channel, probably coming up in next week. I know I don't post up the links for what we are going to talk about soon enough, but I will try to make a change for that, because in the past I used to put up like all 5 episodes like up on Sunday, and then so that everyone would know what we were talking about. And I used to do that so that we were on the same page all week long. I may go back to that, because that way, for people who are like, oh shit, that's right, I forgot to say this other thing. If you do it all week long, then all those ideas that you have when you go offline, we can bring back online again. And then people who respond in the comments section, I could actually respond to them about that as well. So, hey, thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Thank you very, very much, Spook. Hope you all have a nice end to another arbitrary fraction of eternity as well. Thank you very much. Guys, have a great one. Thank you. Thank you very much for just supporting the channel and being here, bringing your best and brightest. Makes me look good. Keeps this idiot over here, and maybe, just maybe, our two brand new kitties will make some more appearances on the show. Maybe they'll roll some dice or something. Ooh, maybe. Ooh, dice choking hazard. Maybe not. Anyway, guys, have a great one. Thank you very much. Peace. Have a great weekend. Bye.